This is DRF Race of the Day.
Hi everybody, Mike Beer here with your DRF Race of the Day. Wednesday, October 13th, we're going down to Keeneland for the race of the day. It's the Grade 2 Jessamine. It's race number 8 on an 8-race card at Keeneland on Wednesday. They're going to close out that card with the Grade 2 Jessamine. 2-year-old fillies, mile and a 16th on the turf over full field of 14 entered, 2 also eligibles as well, waiting and hoping to get in before we handicap this race. Just a reminder, you can get free formulator PPs for this race at the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Here's the field for the Jessamine. Really wide open kind of race. They tend to get these big fields for these Keeneland graded stakes races in the fall. This race is no exception. Plenty of entrants. Not a ton of stakes form so far. This is how 2-year-old racing is conducted now. Most of these horses are coming here right off of maiden wins, but we do have a morning line favorite down towards the inside at number 3, Turner Loose, who is 2 for 2. Both of those races at a mile on the grass for trainer Brad Cox, and she is already a stakes winner. And she took the juvenile fillies turf at Kentucky Downs in her most recent start with a 71 by her speed figure. She's a legit morning line favorite in this race. There's some very lightly raced and talented horses, though most of them I thought were drawn towards the outside. Before we get into the out-and-out handicap, and I'll just point out that there are 2 also eligibles. Once again, the 15 is Blissful, the 16 is Haughty. Either one of these 2 fillies, we're not going to discuss them because they aren't technically in the race right now, but either one of them could be interesting should they get into the race. Blissful was a debut winner at Saratoga with a 66 by her. She ran pretty well that day. I thought it was more of a game victory than anything else. I don't know how strong that field was overall, but certainly this filly's very well bred for a very good trainer in Cherie DeVoe, and she has plenty of upside if she gets in. I would be very interested should the 16 Haughty get into this race. Haughty is technically a maiden still. She did win on debut at Belmont Park last month, was disqualified. I guess justly disqualified there for causing interference, but she was also a very impressive winner in that race, and it's very unfortunate that she's still a maiden at this point. If she gets in, she'd be a horse that I would be very interested in using, although I suppose she would probably take some money as well. Let's take a look before we get into the individual horses at the Timeform US pace projector for the race. We'll see how it plays out. They are projecting a fast pace here with the number 7 Rigby, a New York bred for Mike Maker, out there on a clear lead at the pace call. We'll see. That horse does have some speed. There are plenty of other horses in here. You just feel like, they're lightly raced 2-year-olds in a big field, short run to the first turn. You just kind of feel like, somebody's going to be going in here. Even the morning line favorite, Turner Loose, who, is 4th on the pace projector, but that horse has shown speed in both of her races. I suspect from her inside post she'll be going forward. But certainly this pace could get fast. We'll see. It doesn't have to, but I won't be surprised if it does. We'll take a look at a couple of the horses drawn towards the inside. I don't want to get too bogged down and going horse by horse. There are a lot of long shots toward the inside. I will just say that the 2 horses drawn into the 2 innermost posts, the 1 is Knees and Hips, the 2 is California Angel. They're both 30-1 on the morning line. I think the question as far as Knees and Hips goes is probably just distance. I thought this filly was actually very impressive when she broke her maiden in her career debut, sprinting 5.5 furlongs at Ellis Park. I thought that was a really nice performance. Came with a really good finish to run down a clear leader in the stretch, and that clear leader, to me anyway, when I watched race, didn't look like she was stopping. This horse came and got her. So I thought that was a really impressive career debut. They went in the Bolton Landing in her next start up at Saratoga. Very yielding turf course. This filly got away towards the back of that field. She was wide every step of the way. She raced on pretty gamely to the end, wound up getting up for 3rd. That race is a little hard to evaluate because of the ground. The winner of that race, Chi-Town Lady, came back to face Colts in the Grade 2 Futurity at Belmont on Sunday, did not run well. I don't know what that means. It may not mean anything. This filly tried to stretch out last time and didn't run well, but that was on dirt, and maybe she's just not a dirt horse. It's a pretty tough call. I think she does have talent. I don't know how far she wants to go. She is a big price on the morning line, however, and I don't think it would be impossible to see her, at least get a piece of this at the end. California Angel was a debut winner at Kentucky Downs, going a mile on the grass. And she was actually pretty impressive there as well, I thought. She studied away from the gate. She was outrun last early, raced wide all the way around the turn while passing horses, and stayed on very gamely through the stretch. Was a long late to get up. Pulled clear in the very late stages of that race. It's another effort that's pretty hard to evaluate because first-time starters ran 1-2 in that race. California Angel was 28-1. The runner-up was 45-1. So 2 big prices sort of dominated that race. It makes it seem like maybe it wasn't that strong. But this filly came right back and ran well again against allowance horses sprinting on dirt in her next start. and the 68 buyer she earned on debut. Makes her a contender in this race, so if you like her at a big price, I'm not going to argue too hard with you. The 3, Turn or Loose, is the morning line favorite. I don't really have too much to say about her. I thought her career debut at Ellis Park was good, not super impressive. It was more workmanlike than anything else, but she got a good trip, keeping right up with the pace. Took over at the top of the stretch and just prevailed to the end. There were horses within range, and a couple of them felt like they had a chance to run her down. And Turn or Loose never let them really get to her. I mean, it was clear to the wire. That was okay. Let's take a look at her second start here. This is the Juvenile Fillies Stakes race at Kentucky Downs back on September 6th. She runs well again in this race. Forward right from the start. I like the way that Florent Giroux secured her position down at the rail. Didn't let horses drop over on her. She dueled around the turn, put that horse away at the top of the stretch, and you can see her here. She floated out sort of to the middle of the course once she took the race over, but just stayed very gamely here and gave this field no chance behind her at the end. A very impressive win, improved her Beyer speed figure by 10 points in victory. So I just thought that was a nice performance from Turn or Loose. I guess she's the horse to beat in here. I do think she's probably facing a better field here in the Jessamine than she did at Kentucky Downs last time, but maybe it won't matter. She's 2 for 2 on the way in, and one of the few horses in here, with something besides a maiden win to her credit. 4, 5, and 6 in this race. They're all long shots. 2 of them trying turf for the first time. We'll see how that works out for them. The 5, Roughly a Diamond, who did race on turf in her career debut over the summer down at Gulfstream Park. Didn't win that race, but she was placed first via disqualification, was interfered with in the stretch. The race came back very slow. She paid over $90 winning that race. We'll see. I respect this trainer a little bit. Louis Saez is going to take the mount here, but that horse seems like she has to improve by quite a bit. Rigby is the projected pace setter for trainer Mike Maker. This is a New York bred who actually ran well. Switched to turf for her second career start last time, and got the job done with a 61 Beyer speed figure. She was a big price that day. I felt like that might have been the better day to have her because she ran, a career debut sprinting on dirt at Saratoga, where I just felt like after losing position early in that race, might have run a little better than it looks on paper. And she really does have a turf pedigree on the bottom. So I feel like kind of last time was the time to have her, especially when she goes off at almost 18 to 1. I was surprised she was that big a price last time. She got the job done. Maker steps her right up. I wouldn't be surprised if she ran well in here, but I preferred other horses. The 8 is Queen Judith. I think this horse is interesting for trainer Mark Casse, an Empire Maker filly. They paid a lot of money for her back in April. Debuted going 6.5 furlongs over yielding turf at Kentucky Downs. And I like the way that she ran, that she won that race. It's another race that's a little hard to evaluate because first-time starters ran 1, 2, 3 in there. She being one of them, of course. Didn't break sharply from the gate at all. Got outrun back off the pace. And Julien Leparoux actually worked out a really good trip for her. She never lost any ground, and she never got stopped in traffic either. She was able to split horses in the upper stretch, get down towards the rail past mid-stretch, and then she came with a good finish. She had room, but she always kept coming, continued to gain ground all the way to the end, and she got up on the wire. She has a pedigree that suggests she can handle this added distance. She feels like the kind of horse who could easily take a step forward here and be effective, and she's 15 to 1 on the morning line. Decree of Love is the other Maker horse in the race. She's 12 to 1 on the morning line. 2 starts for her. They're both over a route of ground, so I guess that could be something of an advantage for her. I didn't think her debut at Saratoga was anything special. Set a pretty nice trip, saving ground all the way in behind the leaders, driving through the stretch without really making any kind of impression, but it was yielding turf, and perhaps that sort of worked against her. She stayed on, but she never gained any ground in there. I didn't love that performance, but she came back at Kentucky Downs for her next start. Showed a little bit more speed in that spot, kept right up, tracking the leader on the outside all the way. Took that thing over at the top of the stretch. And I liked the way that she finished that race. I thought that was a nice performance and certainly an improved effort for her in her second career start. She should be forward in this race. I feel like there's an easy enough way to make a case for her, and she might be a price. The 10 is Misbehave, and this is a very interesting horse for Joe Sharp, a Candy Ride filly who has a huge pedigree on the bottom. Candy Ride obviously is a very good sire as well on the bottom. This is a filly who's a half-sister to Bobby's Kitten, a Grade 1 winner on turf, to Camelot Kitten, who's a multiple graded stakes winner on turf. They're both millionaires, those two horses. This is the female family that traces back to Forbidden Apple and Paradise Creek, two of the better turf horses of the last 25 years or so. So just has a really big pedigree on her side, and then she did this in her debut at Kentucky Downs. We'll look at the replay. This is another 6.5 furlong race. We're just showing you the stretch run here where she comes with a really good finish to run this field down late and then pull clear. She is the only one. The horses that run second and third were up on the pace all the way. This is the only filly who made up any ground into this race, and she made up a lot of it because early in the race they rated her from the start, and then she steadied and checked pretty hard, losing position on the backstretch. And she had a lot of work to do in this stretch and came with a really nice finish. I thought that was an impressive win for her. For trainer Joe Sharp, who just does a good job with all of his horses. Misbehaving. We'll see how much money she takes. I feel like she could get bet in here. I'm not so sure she shouldn't get bet in here. She ran really well first time out, and she has the pedigree to back it up, and it makes you think that distance is no problem for her. The 11 is Opalina, coming off of an absolute blowout maiden win down at Gulfstream Park. It was yielding turf, first time on the stretch out for her. She was heavily favored, and she won the way that I guess you would want to see her win at that price. I think that race is a little difficult to evaluate as well. I don't know that she was beating anything in there, and it was yielding turf, but she did handle the stretch out if you like her, and she's going to be a price probably right back in this race. I doubt that 6-1 morning line holds up. It feels like she's going to drift. We'll see what happens. Her race 2 back, she was in against Diamond Wow, who's also in this field, and she was no match for Diamond Wow, but that was sprinting, so maybe it'll make a difference here as they stretch out. The 12 is Dressed for trainer Wayne Catalano, another major player in this race. I feel like she could take money, but perhaps won't take as much money as some of the other sort of logical players. Flavian Pratt is going to take over here. This filly's run well in all 3 of her starts so far, and she's another 2-time winner in this field. Not a stakes winner, but another 2-time winner in this field. She broke her maiden at Arlington Park back in August. This is a 2-turn mile and a 16th race where she sat a good trip and made a strong 4-wide move on the turn after getting shuffled back out of contention, and then she pulled clear. That was a good performance. She came back on turf again at Kentucky Downs last time. This is going 6.5. We'll take a look at the replay of this race right now because I thought this filly ran very well in this race as well. Way to the back of the pack in there. Not outrun, but just sat off the pace down towards the inside. I like the way that she sort of crept forward around the turn while staying in. Got some room in the stretch between horses. Is really fully clear from outside the final 8th there and just comes with a really strong finish to run over the leaders. I like the way she finished that race off. You don't have to worry about distance with her. She's already won going a mile and a 16th. I think this filly's a major player. They took the Lasix off for that last race as well. So racing without Lasix here is not going to affect Dressed at all. Number 13 is Boxing Day, a Godolphin homebred. Only 1 start so far. Also at Kentucky Downs, also going 6.5 furlongs. She won that race, fairly easily. I like the trip that she pulled in that race, even though she had an outside post. At the end of the day, she was just a lot better than that field. She'll step right up in class. She'll stretch out in distance, which is not supposed to be a problem for her. We'll see how much money she takes in here, but she's certainly a horse that you could make a case for. And the 14 is Diamond Wow for Patrick Biancone. 2 for 2 on the way into this race. She's a stakes winner, although that race came on dirt last time in the Ardere Peg, a race that was rained off the grass. She handled the main track, which isn't that surprising. She's looking at Lucky. This is the female family of the very versatile Diamond Dupes, who Biancone also trains that older horse. Very good on both turf and dirt, as is Diamond Wow. She broke her maiden on debut, going 5 furlongs on the turf. She showed some good speed that day. She was much the best at the end, and she was an easy winner last time as well. She has a tough post here, but she has some talent. Coming back to turf is probably an okay thing for her, and I don't think stretching out's going to be a problem either. So she's just another contender as far as I can tell in a very, very wide open race here. The grade 2 Jessamine at Keeneland, your race of the day on Wednesday. I'm going to go with one of those impressive maiden winners from Kentucky Downs for my top pick, number 10, Misbehaving. This horse is very well bred. I really like the way that she won first time out, overcoming some trouble and gaining ground. She's bred to stretch out here. We'll see if she can get a trip from post 10, and we'll see what kind of price she is. I don't think I would take any kind of short price on her, but the morning line feels pretty fair. I went 10, 12, 6, and 3, and Wednesday's DRF race of the day. It's the grade 2 Jessamine at Keeneland, and it's a good one. Race number 8, approximate post time, 4:44 Eastern time. Good luck.